Hello and welcome to Real Metal. I am your host, Mark. I'd like to introduce my panel before we get things started. Join us once again is JP.
Hello.
And for the first time joining us is CC and Celestia from Metalheads United. Now you guys are putting off a really cool festival. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that before we start off?
Well, it's the 420 Music and Arts Festival, and it started at a garage sale as a method to get a band out from Vancouver, and somehow one day on 420 has blown up to 3 days and 22 bands with a free day and food trucks, beard contests,
Arts Expo,
information on marijuana and medical cannabis, and just all kinds of stuff about to happen in Calgary because there hasn't been anything like that before, and thought it was time to start doing it, I guess.
And the 420 Festival sort of influenced the movie we're going to check out, which is 2002's Fubar. JP, have you seen the film?
I have, yeah.
CC?
Yeah, not since it came out on video though, I think, so it's been a while.
And Celestia.
Yeah, definitely saw it before.
Okay, well let's check out the trailer.
As it stands, plan B is just to keep on giving her.
What exactly is that?
Give her. You go out and you give her. Like you work hard. That's what.
Is that a plan?
Yeah, that's a plan right there.
We used to party a lot, but not so much anymore. So whenever we do get together, it's fucking awesome. Whoa.
I can't fucking babysit my fucking giant nut all day. Just fucking sit there and watch it and hope it doesn't fucking grow.
You could die. Do you understand? You could die.
Okay, we're back. What were your initial thoughts, JP?
I loved it. It was great to see again. It had been a few years like CC, and just fun watching it play out. Some familiar scenes and great characters. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Familiar scenes, yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking as I was watching it actually.
Not necessarily the setting of it, though.
Well, being shot in Calgary, you're always wondering where it was and you think you might know, but then just again, some of the scenarios and the friends that I used to have in the late 80s, early 90s, that's all I'll say.
Well, that's the big thing. It is a hometown film. We're here in Calgary. It was shot here in Calgary and turned into a bit of a big thing as far as I remember. I was living on the East Coast when this came out, and everyone there was kind of going mad for it. It was I don't think we got it in a theater, maybe, or at least I didn't see it in a theater.
I missed it in a theater.
But it was definitely a rental and stuff like that, and people were really into it. It's a very Canadian film.
Very much so.
And it must have been successful because they made part 2.
Yeah, many years later, though.
Yeah.
And now there's a television show in the works. Was another reason why I wanted to pick this.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
television
didn't
show.
know that. That's cool.
Yeah,
Good for those guys.
I have notes here.
Kids continue to live.
Yeah, February 10th, Rogers Media and Vice Studios announced that there was going to be a television series. Although, unfortunately, the television series is shot in Montreal, which I think is wrong. But
And they're gonna pretend they're in Calgary?
I don't know. Montreal doesn't look anything like Calgary. Now, let's talk about some of our favorite scenes in this. This is a very funny film, and then it sort of takes a serious turn. It's
Really
a
does.
bunch of goofy guys that have to face their own mortality. And then another thing happens in it that makes them face mortality. But yeah, what were some of the scenes that stuck out to you guys?
Well, that's a tough one. I mean, there's not so many scenes, but just jokes. Lots and lots of jokes. Just little quick things that pop out. It's hard to put my finger on one that really stands out. I mean, just little things like when he's riding his 10 speed with a bicycle handles turned up and he's trying to ride with no hands, just bails on the concrete.
I love when he's drunk and he falls into the big bushes. He
Bushes.
quickly gets
all
up
the
again.
time.
Never seen that at a party before.
For me, it was the camping scenes. I mean, we've all been camping as metalheads. Whether it was called camping or what you're doing was camping, but certainly never waking up in a tent quite the same as in the film, but I've had friends very much so, yeah. So that was pretty awesome.
Well, it's shot as a mockumentary, and a lot of the people that regular folks that were in the movie did not know it was not a documentary. They were told that it was a documentary
Real
on the
life.
common man.
Yeah.
So we see real reactions from a lot of people in this film.
The Fight Club in High River, for example.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a... And then the director also injected himself into the film as well, which is... actually, I think you see a lot in later real documentaries that happen after that. Even, metal documentaries. I'm looking at you, Sam, now.
Breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah.
All the time. Yeah.
And so it's just a bunch of goofballs having a good time. Lots of funny jokes. We were all laughing our asses off at it. And then it takes a bit of a serious turn as one of the main characters is dealing with cancer and doesn't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
And still it turns out funny somehow. How
Yeah.
they managed to...
What's the thing about life? I mean, no matter what happens in life, there are ways to put a spin on it to get, a bit of sunshine out of something that's morbid, I guess. There's always a bit of way to do that.
Yeah. And I guess one of the big turns in the film... Because sure, you look at it and you're like, okay, well, this is the plot. This guy has cancer and he's going to deal with it. And that's these goofballs that are party animals facing their own mortality. And then the director dies.
And somehow they still managed to make that kind of humorous as well. In an awkward way.
Well, the funeral scene where they go and they have like the wake.
Painful. Painfully awkward. Yeah.
Been there, done that.
Give her. There's... And the film continues on after that, and we get the full story of these two. It's a fun film, but it's a really crappy portrayal of metalheads.
Yeah.
Well, they're, no matter what, we all know those metalheads that were, Terry and Dean, right?
Yeah.
Terry and Dean. I knew a lot of them, but, and a lot of them did turn out different and, ended up like Tron maybe later on, I'm not too sure, but...
Yeah, it's like that one character that grows up and is not the party animal anymore, and he gets a job and has a family and stuff like that.
But these are the guys from Heavy Metal Parking Lot, and I was one of those guys for a while too. There's no doubt about that.
I think most of us have been.
87 to about 89 was pretty skid like for me. I will
Yeah, I
admit.
saw pictures of you with your
Blue black hair. Yeah,
hair
that's
down
right.
to here.
I still have hair. It's starting to go grey now. What it doesn't pick up on film. It's a very funny film. There's lots of great jokes and stuff in there, and
I like what you were saying earlier about, sorry to interrupt, the portrayal of metalheads, because I was looking at these guys, it's like they missed some of the key elements. Like they didn't talk about music.
No.
They didn't listen to a lot of music. Their house should have like metal posters, and they should have been wearing metal shirts and stuff, and just being like, Iron Maiden, instead of just yelling woo at the camera or whatever.
that might have been a budgetary concern too. Is to put those things in film, you have to license them, and the budget was. I have the budget written down here. Wasn't very much at all. Maybe I don't have it here anymore.
4 or 5 zeros at the most.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot, and it did license some actual. It was $350,000 Canadian.
Yeah.
So
Not a bad investment, I'm sure.
yeah, I'm sure it turned out great. I mean, this is 2002. People like this film. It got around. It's become a bit of a cult classic. Especially, what I was reading, it said it's considered a cult classic in Western Canada. I grew up in Eastern Canada. Everyone out there loved it as well.
Yeah.
Right. So
The Canadian experience.
And I was gonna say everybody knew somebody that was like that over there. I mean, there's still guys around that are like that, and if you weren't friends with them, you probably interacted with them in high school or something like that.
We still do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think the one thing about the film too, because to me it was always implied that it was kind of a stoner type film, and you don't really see a whole lot of that happening in it. Maybe for a few reasons, but it kind of touches on that maybe more at the beginning, but you don't see a lot of that throughout the movie as well.
True.
yeah, I think that's where my memory failed me, because I picked it because of, like, the 420 connection and stuff like that, and you think of the characters as kind of stoners, but you don't see much of that, and there's a lot of beer drinking.
A lot of good.
Yeah, a lot of Pilsner.
A lot of Pilsner.
A lot of Pilsner in there.
Count those rabbits.
Yeah.
But another thing, they don't talk a lot about music, but Diener, the character, does play bass in a band.
Yeah, that's true.
Tries to audition for a band.
And he wrote kind of a nice little acoustic song there.
Acoustic
With
rock
actually,
song.
it was kind of touching and beautiful in its own way, and it did kind of capture what he was all about at the same time too.
Rock and roll ain't a game that you can stop at any time. It's a really serious thing, like war and crime.
And I actually thought the poem that he wrote that his mom read,
Danger
actually
Cat.
Danger Cat.
You sneak out at night, deep into the night, there ain't no halfway house. You come from good blood, right? On and on. Woman is a danger cat. It's kind of a funny little poem, and it shows how Dean's thinking is kind of cuckoo sometimes.
it made a really great 80s,
Yeah, for sure.
80s metal song.
Steel Panther maybe should take those lyrics and work with those guys. I don't
Or
know.
Danger Cat on the next album.
Yeah.
Paul Spence is the guy that played Dean, and I guess he wrote a lot of the music in it as well.
Because they're in a band, right? Creeper, I think.
Creeper, yeah.
Creeper was like
Which
a
we
real
reference that
band.
band in the movie
Yeah.
too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of that music's actually theirs in the music, in the film rather. Let's talk about the music in the film. They actually got to license some popular metal tunes. Not a lot, but I mean, on the budget of $350,000 Canadian, they got to license Iron Maiden, AC/DC in there.
Girls' School at the beginning.
Yeah, Girls' School. Yeah, that's true. Thor is in there as well too. Although
Oh.
I sort of missed it.
Thor.
Yeah. So what do we think of the music?
I thought the music was great. Actually, I keep wanting to turn to JP whenever there was something on that I didn't recognize it. Who's that? Do you know? Because I would just expect you to know anyway. So
Yeah, I thought the music I thought the choices were good. It really kind of encompassed what you would think that they would listen to. I wish there was more of it, but again, on a limited budget,
Yeah.
you can't really do much with it, but I enjoyed that part of it.
and there was Iron Maiden, so
Yeah.
it's fine by me.
I think they missed
fit really well.
Yeah, I think they missed an opportunity to grab some local bands to play on that.
True enough.
Like there was a few around in 2002 you could have got. There was an album released, a companion album that wasn't actually the soundtrack, or had some clips from the soundtrack on it. That had a bunch of popular Canadian bands at the time, sort of paying tribute to older Canadian rock bands. Like Gob was on there, I think. I'm drawing a blank on some of the bands.
Wasn't there like a Loverboy cover tune?
Yeah, there was
Something like
most
just
of
some
it was
weird
all
stuff
cover
on
tunes.
it. Yeah.
That Thor song was on there as well too. Treble Charger was doing a song on there as well. I don't have a copy of that soundtrack, but once I was doing my research, I was like, kind of want to find that.
I know, you're right, yeah.
So I guess final thoughts of the film. Would you recommend it?
Oh yeah, certainly. To me, it was this classic stoner buddy comedy, like Bill and Ted, Wayne and Garth, Beavis and Butthead, Terry and Dean.
Yeah.
Like these stoner, dopey headbanger characters that are just every movie that has that works for me.
Do you think it would, like, we obviously relate to it, and it's taped in this city that we live in. Do you think outside of Canada, like in the US, it would play as well too?
Well, I think obviously
for
because
sure.
it reached out to you on the East Coast as
Yeah.
well. And like I said, everyone can identify with those characters.
Yeah.
And we've all been in those situations, and it's kind of nice to look back and maybe laugh at yourself as you're laughing at these guys as they
Yeah.
stumble through life.
Yeah, for sure.
So, would you recommend it then?
Oh, I totally recommend it. I was really, when we walked in and found out what we were doing today, I was actually kind of excited that we'd be watching it again because it had been that long, and it was quite enjoyable to watch it again a second or third time. I can't remember.
Celeste.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think it's a hilarious movie. Well, so much so that I had to watch the second one before I was like up late at night watching it, and I was like, I should be going to bed, but I couldn't stop watching it. It was quite captivating in a train wreck kind of way.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's what you love about it. It's just they managed to capture people who are very real and make you believe that they're really those guys.
Yeah, it does. It comes across feeling very real, and like they deal with some serious subjects, and most of them in a funny way, but not. It doesn't come across feeling. It does feel so much like a documentary, like you're looking into these
It's
people's
not
lives.
too heavy-handed.
Yeah, it's like the jokes are great and they're hilarious, but it doesn't seem silly. Okay, well, before we go, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the 420 Festival.
Sure.
So, explain to us exactly what it is and why. Why now? Why do this?
Well, I mean, everything's changing with medical marijuana, cannabis, and I'm also all about reducing or getting rid of stereotypes. And the big thing for me is just because someone listens to stoner rock or stoner metal doesn't mean that's their definition of who they are. And great friends of the scene who are like, well, I'm not a stoner, why should I come to this? And these exact people that don't smoke the drugs or whatever, because the music is great. So we wanted to do that, but we also wanted to try to bring together this whole idea of what's happening with marijuana in Canada and around the world, and particularly with medical cannabis. I suffer from Crohn's disease. Sometimes it doesn't really affect me, sometimes it really does. And I've tried just about everything, and now we're looking at what the CBDs can do for me. But again, just to take these two communities and bring them together on a date that everyone knows. I mean, even if you don't know what 420 is about, you do know what 420 is about because of common culture.
I get the fact that it's stoner rock and 420. Hasn't been a hell of a lot of that type of music festivals here in Calgary.
Well, I don't really recall there being any. I mean, there's a couple great venues in the city. I mean, the Palomino does all kinds of great stoner rock, and without them, there probably wouldn't be the scene that's happening right now.
True.
But the nice thing about Distortion, it holds over 300 people. So we can get more people to come out and experience. And we went the weekend that the highly controversial Black Pussy was in town, and it was exactly what we thought it would be. Full of people that wanted to be around good music that makes you move, that brings out men and women that want to dance, and you can understand the lyrics too and have a good time. But it still kind of harkens back to what I grew up to, listening to hard rock and heavy metal, that classic 70s, early 80s sound, and that's what really I like. But there's just so much music in the stoner rock, desert rock category that it really goes beyond one or two bands now as well.
You throw doom and sludge in there, and then you just get this just amazingly broad group of bands to choose from. So we were talking about it. It's like we could be doing festivals like this without repeats for quite a long time, just by looking at that, not just here, but worldwide. I mean, that's the whole thing. There's a ton of bands. It's just such a growing genre everywhere. And
then we're lucky enough to send an email to a Facebook message to a band like Wolf Fat just on a whim, when we're kind of tossing around all these bands. And one of our helpers at the festival, Patrick, is like, Cam, email Wolf Fat. We both like them. I'm like, yeah, Wolf Fat, that would be good. Like, they're going to want to come up from Texas. And actually, that was the first band that actually responded within
2 minutes later.
10 minutes later, we went outside for a smoke. Well, not really smoke. And came back inside. And sure enough, there was an answer back from Kent saying, hey, we have that date open. We'd love to come. And it will be our first ever time in Canada. And it was like, what?
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. This is going to be their first time ever in Canada.
Ever. So really glad to have them here. And they're really stoked to come up too. I can tell you that right now.
Well, besides the music, let's talk about what else is happening at the festival.
Well, we have an arts expo, or an expo, I should say. I mean, it does contain a lot of artists, but we do have some local cannabis activists in, or I guess you could call them advocates. Some of them are maybe more activists, but trying to give people more information about, some of the laws surrounding it and why legalization. The arts part of it, that is kind of my baby, because I used to have a store in Inglewood and carried a lot of local artists and designers and artisans, and I always feel that there's not enough representation of that. I mean, there's people go to stores and they buy stuff and they buy it for cheap and it's mass produced, but really you can get some amazing stuff from local artists, and it really doesn't cost that much. So I wanted to have that aspect in to showcase some of the great artists in the area, and it's kind of expanded. We've got a girl doing a hoop,
body painting,
and we've got another girl doing hoop demonstrations. So she uses hula hoops and does all kinds of really neat dance routines and stuff, and actually teaches classes on it. And just a lot of really interesting and different stuff that you don't see in stores normally. So
abstract, or what is it? Abstract art baking. What is that one?
Yeah, cookies that are done. The icing is all abstract art. Yeah. So edible art, and we have.
There won't be any marijuana in those cookies, by the way. Just so we're clear on that.
And we just recently got a new addition. He actually is one of our sponsors now of the festival as well, called Lars Works, and he makes thrones. They look almost like Adirondack chairs, but they're skull thrones. And he's a wood burner, and he actually burns skulls into. He made one for Zach Wilde and gave it to him on his birthday, and he does all kinds of other really cool wood burning stuff. So. Really interesting. And then we have
Pussy Kush will be there as well,
which is catnip.
Organic catnip.
Yeah, from BC, and they've really struggled because of their name. Yeah. And it just seemed like a perfect fit with our festival, and we want to do whatever we can to help them grow their business as well, because it's a really, really cool business. So.
I'd love to buy some of that because I do like my cat.
Yeah.
Keeps your pussy happy.
Yeah.
The pussy goes.
Yeah. And then we've got some food trucks coming out for it as well.
This is what I want to talk about.
Yes.
This cereal truck business.
Yes, seriously, cereal,
it is a great one. He was the first person that reached out to me as soon as we mentioned food trucks. And there's different groupings in Calgary that kind of book together, but he's kind of an independent guy, and he actually really loves stoner rock. It's kind of not surprising, I guess, that he has a cereal truck, but I mean, it's amazing. Like, I've seen pictures of his cereal pantry, and he's got so many weird and rare cereals. Like
strawberry honeycombs, fruity pebbles.
Yeah, and he imports from the States for a lot of it, and then he has something like 80 different varieties of Pop-Tarts, which is, it's just crazy.
It sounds more and more awesome the more you keep talking.
and all the different kinds of milk too. So you want low fat, no fat, chocolate, almond milk,
soy, that kind of stuff. And we just thought, I don't know, that's kind of a perfect fit for a 420 festival. So, I mean, I definitely jumped on that. I thought, this is fantastic. So he is literally going to be there the whole festival. Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, and Saturday during the day. Yeah. Saturday we also have family fry guys, so you'll have fries. I can't remember what else is on his menu.
The burgers and
then in the evenings we've got the top truck in Calgary, Pierogi Boys. So yeah.
Have you ever had Pierogi Boys pierogies?
No, I've seen the truck. I haven't had a chance to have it.
We had it come by my office for a training event, and the Tex-Mex, even the originals. There's Hawaiian pierogies as well. So if you don't like pineapple on your pizza, try it on your pierogies. You might like it there.
Yeah. So that we just thought it's something different and interesting, and you see it sometimes in music festivals, but none that we've had happening within our scene here. And I just always love the idea of doing that. So, we wanted to have some of those represented. A little bit difficult. We're running up against another big event that is happening that day, so we didn't get as many as we would like to, but I'm already talking to a bunch for next year. We're looking at a bigger venue for the expo for next year and a lot more trucks. So it's the first year we're going to get this thing going and then just take it to the next level. We're going to give her. Take it to the next level next year.
So everything's happening at Distortion. The most important question, where do people find out more information? Where do they get tickets?
We can go to our website, www.420musicandartsfestival.com, or just search for us on Facebook. But everything's right there. You can buy tickets on Facebook page or on the web page as well. Everything's listed there, really.
Yeah, and you can, if you want to just go and buy some locally, you can buy them right from Distortion or at the Great Sloth Records. Great place to get tickets, so you can go there. If you're in Red Deer, you can actually get them from the Sound House in Red Deer as well.
Yeah, and you can buy 3-day passes, which actually, April Fools, we're extending the regular, what is it, I don't know what sale this one is, but we're extending the price right now to $65 until the last week of the festival. We were going to roll up to $75, but we've been doing so well. So you can get 3-day passes, or you can, if you can only make it to 1 or 2 of the days, you can actually buy individual tickets to each of the days as well.
Sweet. Sounds awesome. Okay, that's going to do it for us. JB, plug something.
Oh man, I don't know where to begin. Yeah, check out all the great metal shows on CGSW, and a lot of them are going to be, pumping the 420 Fest in the upcoming weeks.
Awesome. Yeah, and you've got a special show coming up. With a little bit about that with Roadburn as well.
That's right. Talking about Roadburn and 420, so it's going to be get your stoner doom vibe on that show coming up next week.
It's also available as a podcast right now if you can't listen to it at the time.
That's right. Podcast and iTunes. Subscribe to iTunes now.
Okay, well, I'd like to thank everyone for joining me, and hope you had fun.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank everyone for watching. Remember, check out Real Metal, Facebook.com/Real Metal or Extreme Metal Television as well. Now, before we end off, we usually find a thing in the movie to say, to throw to. I think we all know what that's going to be. So let's do a 3, 2, 1. Look at the camera and say "Give her," I guess.
All right, good.
3, 2, 1.
Give her! Give her. You go out and you give her. Like, you work hard.